And we've got audio, and we begin. Spectacular. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone listening. On this so precious day of Shabbat, cloudy with a bit of a cold, fresh, incredible, because we're about to end spring in 11 days, and it's still kind of dense, kind of weird, ambient over here, kind of fresh, belonging to Shabbat, the 21st of Zev, or the second, or Ishar, of the year 5992, corresponding to the year 10th of June of the year 2023 in the Gregorian calendar. We shall study yet another chapter of Revelation 17, part 34, Seals, Trumpets, and Plagues, part 7. Today is the last day of the 5th week in the Omer countdown. Today is week 5, day 35. In other words, there are 15 days left for Shavuot. 2 more weeks, one Shabbat, yet another Shabbat, and Shavuot begins. It is the countdown that takes us to a very important feast, which is the Feast of Shavuot. Very well. Without any further ado, let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for this so precious and fresh Shabbat. We give you thanks because you always guide us, you always give us faith, you give us the hope that we need to continue on in this world. I ask you that all the things that we believe in, all the things that we know, all the written things arrive at their fulfillment very soon. In your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth, our husband, Alleluia. I have so many birthdays. I believe everybody was born during this week. So we shall begin with the list of the birthdays of the week. Laura Rivera, the US of A. Jason Pinto, Colombia. Norma Yolanda Alvarado, Guatemala. Manuel Pérez Ángel, Chile. Luciano Rubano, Uruguay. Ingrid Garcia, Costa Rica. Milena Hernandez, Colombia. Santiago Vázquez Rodríguez, Spain. Luis Enrique Calvachi Muñoz, Colombia. Abigail Ramirez Rios, Argentina. Cadmiel Esparza, Mexico. Jose Espinal, the Dominican Republic. Marco Antonio Rivera Diaz, Peru. Angelica Rubio, Colombia. Jenny Lopez, Mexico. Arelis Herrera, Colombia. Andy Eliseo Lopez Perez, Guatemala. Emi Gago, Spain. Josleda Tejeda, Venezuela. For each and every one of you, and those of you that I did not mention, a great big hug on behalf of everyone that makes up this so special a lineage called LVE. To each and every one of you, many blessings, and that it be the very last one that you have under this system of Babylon. Also, during this year, there were many baptisms, and we like that a lot because a lot of people either didn't know or didn't understand or hadn't taken the decision or really to belong to the eternal truth. They have to make the decisions and be baptized by immersion in the name of Yeshua, and have gotten baptized 5 people in El Salvador. Baptism is June 8th in El Salvador. And I'll mention them: Rosa Dina Figueroa de Alvarenga, Cesar Alvarenga Garcia, Carol Ulisa Alvarenga Figueroa, Ian or Ian, I don't know how they pronounce it, Ian or Ian Josue Alvarenga Figueroa, Marley Estefania Acosta Recinos. For each and every one of you, for Rosa, Cesar, Carol, Ian, and Marley, a great big hug from the whole lineage of the eternal truth. Welcome to LVE. What a blessing to have a birthday and to get baptized in the name of Yeshua. It's not necessary for somebody to baptize you. You can baptize yourself. So then it's an extraordinary step. We get baptized in the death of Yeshua. And it's something as a recognition of who Yeshua is, which is Yahweh, with a different name under human skin, and today he had to die. So then we recognize that death, and with that death, it brings salvation into the world. So then, welcome Rosa, Cesar, Carlos, Jan, and Marley. Very well. What else do I have to tell you? Okay, everyone that has ordered their LVE ring, they have to wait because actually the list has become enormous. There's like 200 rings waiting, so then you have to wait. I don't know. Do not despair. All of you that have not ordered it, order it. There's still time to enjoy this so precious a ring belonging to the LVE ring. The ones I gave you, the tracking number, you have to go to the post office just in case, to the post office in your country or your zone with the number that I gave you, and to see if you have to pay for something. Some countries you have to pay, others you don't. Some countries you have to pay. In the same country you don't have to pay. So then you have to check just in case, because everyone apparently wants money. And in order to pay, we're talking about taxes, and it should be very little, because the value is very low. So then all that I've been sending lately, I send them priority, which means priority mail, which should arrive a little bit sooner. So we've changed the system of how we send things, the shipment. I hope that it arrives even quicker and well. Very well. Do not forget that we've got a free service, spectacular service, Angelina's consult from the new Germanic medicine. It is where she will listen to you and she will tell you or the possible cause or origin of what is happening and how you could face the situation differently in order to solve your conflicts. A spectacular service, and it's free. Many thanks to all of you that give their donations for Angelina. It is very much appreciated, and she appreciates it a whole of a lot. Very well. Let us speak about the 1335 days. Did something take place on 217 which coincided with it? Now we're about to see. Daniel 12:11 says in Torah Samad, and from the time in which the perpetual sacrifice be taken away, in other words, the sacrifice, in other words, the tamid, and it be enthroned in the temple, or in other words, the body, the abomination that maketh desolate, it'll be 1,290 days that shall pass. All this, I don't want to say that it's precise, but it's kind of relative. It's kind of something very subtle, very subtle. Those 1,290 days were fulfilled clearly in the time in which the world would receive a doses or 2 or 3 doses, but it doesn't matter. There's a time for that. It doesn't mean that it abruptly ends just like that. No, it isn't so. Those are the prophecies of Yahweh. You see them from the distance later. And what do you say later? Daniel 12:12, blessed, happy, blessed is he that waiteth and does not receive this abomination in his temple, and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. It doesn't say anything else. It is left open to all kinds of interpretations. It only says blessed. So then, first of all, we are blessed because the abomination has been given, and the abomination is born precisely in the prophetic line with the 1290 and the 1335. Maybe we're waiting for something spectacular, like always, something that you say, wow, you see how it was fulfilled right there. But actually, with Yahweh, things like that have never been given. We see them in the distance later. We see them and we understand it. So then, the true fulfillments are subtle. They're subtle. So then, but it's about the times in which they are fulfilled. So then the question is, was something fulfilled or not? Well, in my point of view, it's completely fulfilled. The 1335 are fulfilled. Blessed is he that waiteth, and past that point, and from here on out, we shall be really blessed. That's the way I see it. Not the way that I see it, but that's the way it is, absolutely. So then, to all of you who are maybe kind of with their heads down, bitter that it's not being fulfilled, absolutely, it was fulfilled. Now I'm about to explain what it is that I understand in a very subtle way, but certain that we could be sure that something did happen during that date. Okay, on that date, Something happened, but before something happening, let us go to Bereshit 7:11 through 17. Let's go to Bereshit 7:11 through 17. And it reads as follows. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, 217, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, the fountains of the great deep. And the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So then it was the beginning of the deluge, of the cataclysm that ended up with life on earth of almost everyone. On this same day, that day, 217, which was very much blessed, Noah. Why? Because on that same day entered Noah and Shem, Ham, and Japheth, son of Noah, Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. So then, on that same day was the blessing for them. They didn't see it, maybe, because once they entered into the ark, they didn't see anything. They said, what's happening here? With this little rain, you get scared. They needed a little bit more. Maybe they said, nothing's happening. But notice well, on that very same day was the blessing, or they were blessed because they entered into something that was going to save them. They didn't know about it yet. Okay, it reads as follows. They entered, and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And Yahweh shut him in. That day, Yahweh shut the door. What day? 217. What does it represent? Noah. It represents Noah, and it represents the bride of Yahweh. What does the wild animals represent? Those that are being saved with him. On that day, it's kind of like determined. No one knew, but it had been determined. Everyone's fate. Why? It is related with today? Yes, I believe that it is completely and absolutely and directly applied, because that day, even if we don't see anything, there had to have been sealed the fate of the world, just like that, the fate of the world. The test has ended. The test of the injection, I could say, but I have to be careful with my words. The test of the mark is as if it ended, and it was sealed. It would apparently had been sealed, but you don't see it with a simple sight. It takes time, mind you. It takes time. 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth. And from 217 and on, the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. So then the ark, which had those that are to be saved, were elevated upon the earth above everyone, but everything begins on 217. It takes time. And I'm not saying that it's going to be from here to 40 days. What I'm saying is in the meaning, the symbolic meaning. And when we place them to parallel the prophecies, because Yeshua said, as in the days of Noah, so shall also be the coming of the Son of Man. So then 217, which precisely coincided with the 1335 days, blessed, there is a great coincidence. We don't see anything because it's all very subtle. Maybe we want to see that, I don't know, for something to be destroyed. No, it is subtle. It'll take place. But what will happen will be absolutely sure. What took place on 217 precisely, it could have happened a day prior, a day afterwards, or a week after, or a week prior, but precisely on 217, June 6th of the year 2023, which was at 2:17, and it was the 1335th day, something took place which is symbolic, precise, just like the Great Flood. What took place? The collapse of the Nova Kavod. The fountains of the water were opened. How crazy. Yes, absolutely. On to 17, it says that for Noah, the fountains of water, for us, in where the conflict in Ukraine, the bellic conflict is taking place, they destroyed what? The hydroelectric dam, the biggest one, I think in Europe, called the Nova Kavodka. Nova, precisely that name, Nova Kavodka. The south of Ukraine, it is the greatest industrial disasters and ecological disasters that Europe has suffered in decades. The catastrophe flooded so many towns around there, and electricity zones and clean water, and also it hurt some environmental brutal causes and damages. A whole zoo of animals that was there, nobody was able to save, a whole disaster. And it says that this is barely beginning, because I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that was precisely part of the water that was to give water to a nuclear central, and now there won't be any water. I don't know if that's true or not, but it'd be great if all that. But it's the beginning of something. There's a brutal parallelism. 2:17, it says the fountains of the waters were broken. Well, the fountains of the water were broken here brutally, absolutely brutal, on that same day. But not just that. Also, something happened with what has to do directly with the abomination. The abomination that maketh desolate. Who gave the abomination that maketh desolate? And in charge of it, it was by the Worldwide Organization of Sickness. Who is like unto the beast? I don't want to say it in English. Who is like unto the beast? Who is like unto the beast? Who is like unto the beast? And well, something absolutely related with the abomination that maketh desolate. He opened his mouth and said, I'll read the news. The Worldwide Organization of Sickness and the EU, a global health certification system is launched to aid in mobility. The organization between countries, of course, the Worldwide Organization of this sickness shall use the digital certification system of the cup of wine 19 of the EU as a base to establish a global system of health that would facilitate the mobility and would help to face future pandemic and threats to health. The Secretary of Health, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, and the EU Commission of Health, Stella Kyriakides, signed this Monday in Geneva, precisely Monday in Geneva, what they described as a historical agreement to reinforce the health security. Such a global system of digital certification will help to facilitate the worldwide mobility. In other words, traveling, and shall protect. Oh, that's great. We need protection, and shall protect the citizens of the whole world. Oh, that's great. Of the threats, the actual and future threats for health included the pandemonium, were highlighted by the organization, the Worldwide Organization, and the EU in a communication in conjunction. I'm reading from RT. Go ahead and post the news. I don't know if you have it, Ariel, that you sent it to me. Go ahead and post it, because I read it exactly directly from RT. On that same day, the waters are broken, the fountains of the waters, in a place where there's a conflict, and those who is like unto the beast, it says, you know what, we signed along with other countries Now, at least with the EU, we signed with these countries that there's going to be a digital certification system so that precisely the certification be left there that you have been marked. If you're not marked, then you can't travel. Spectacular, because we understand that this, what it takes place is that the whole collapse of Babylon. So then did something take place in Chesina? Of course. I mean, it makes me, I don't care what that stupid organization says, it makes me laugh my ass off, but I tell it to you as something meaningful that was precisely on that day. It's got to do with the mark, and it's got to do with the destruction of Noah. Now we have to wait, kickback for the results, but that this has been fulfilled, it's been absolutely fulfilled. Shall we see it later? We will. So then, if you were bitter, if you had lost your faith, if you wanted to burn the Bible, that's interesting. New York is under smoke. The sun has been darkened. It's very interesting also, which are the Canada fires. Apparently they come from there. So then with Canada, if you ask me, can be set on fire entirely. As that government, communist government that they have, wow. It's time for everything to be set on fire. Very well, let's go ahead and read something of what faith is, which you know this by memory, but we'll review it real quick. It's in Hebrews, the definition of faith. I'm going to go ahead and read it in 5 different versions. Hebrews 11:1. The Spanish DHH says, to have faith, because of course, my faith is unbreakable. My faith is absolute, and I understood what happened on 2:17. To have faith is to have the certainty of receiving what is awaited. Are we waiting to receive something? Absolutely. Could our faith weaken? No, it should not weaken. We know who we are. We don't what we're waiting for. We live this whole process. What the least our faith can do is to lack. But of course, to have faith is to have the substance of things hoped for, and to be convinced of the reality of things unseen. We see what will happen. No, we don't see it. So then that is what it is to have faith. Of course, the faith can be applied in many things, because I could have faith in the viruses. I could say, I'm going to say the word. I could have faith. I don't see them, but I have faith that they exist. And I'm convinced that they exist, so then I prepare myself and accept whatever thing to defend myself. That's also faith. It's all faith. The thing is, where is my faith? Where do you have your faith? You can have faith in those of the white robe that say, look, with this medicine, that crap that you have, we can kill it. And also everything else. Since we're at it, we'll kill everything. So you have faith. This is the only solution. The only solution. Faith. Where do I place my faith? Let us go to the New Living Translation. It says, faith is the confidence versus the certainty, but this is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. Do we have faith or not? Are we doubting now if it'll take place? No, let us not doubt absolutely anything. It could tarry, but let us not doubt that actually something will happen. What we're waiting for, it is what gives us the assurance about things we cannot see. That is what faith is. Now let us go up to the Spanish RV 1960. It says, now faith is the substance. First it said in another version, the certainty, the confidence, and here's the substance. I like the word substance, but I like the last one. I'm going to read 5. Now, the substance of things hoped for, we have certainty, security, confidence of what we're hoping for. Are we doubting already? Oh, nothing took place in 2:17. No, if you have doubts and you think nothing was fulfilled, then there's the door. Here, only those who really have the certainty stay. What will happen, it's already determined that it'll happen, and we're going to receive what was promised to us. That is the certainty, an absolute certainty. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the conviction of evidence of things unseen. We don't see it yet who the sons of Elohim are. We don't see it, but we have the complete conviction. This is the one I liked a lot because it's weird. Is the Spanish Armenian, the 1569. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. The substance. So then faith is substance. It's a substance, something like solid. You can't touch it, but it's a substance. It's a substance. So then, do you have the substance or not? That it's as simple as that. Either you have the substance or you don't have it. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, the demonstration of things not seen. So then, our faith must be unbreakable, absolutely unbreakable. Even if we don't see certain things, really, Yahweh gives us small glimpses so that we continue on and that we feed that substance. That substance must be multiplied. So then with those glimpses that he shows us, is look, you said that on 2:17 the fountains of the water were broken. You're going to see how this 2:17, in order to confirm, and so that you keep your faith, let's go out and break a huge fountain of waters, which is a dam. And it says also, while we're at it, since you understand that it's the abomination that makes it desolate, let's make this beast speak, saying that they're going to sign some digital certificate. Already with those small things that Yahweh feeds us, our faith grows and it's affirmed. So then, do I call 2:17 as fulfilled? Exactly. The rain has started. Whether it lasts for 40 days or 400, it's the same. It's the same, and it'll get even worse. Let's go to Habakkuk now. Habakkuk 2. We haven't read Habakkuk 2, 1 through 20, and I'll read in the New Living Translation. I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard post. That is what we should also do. That is what I always talk about. I will climb up to the watchtower and stand up my guard post. There I will wait to see what Yahweh says and how he will answer my complaint. We're here to complain, so then we have to see how Yahweh responds to our complaint. Then Yahweh said to me, write mine answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. This vision is for a future time. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. The end obviously will be fulfilled, and this vision says it has certain things that can make you doubt, but don't doubt. If it seems slow in coming, does it seem like it's slow in coming? It would seem, but there isn't. It's not slow. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will be surely taking place. It will not be delayed. So then it's not a delay. It's not a delay. It would seem to be a delay, but it isn't. Look at the proud. Who are the proud? Those who say, nah, I don't believe anything. I don't believe in that garbage. Look at the proud. They trust in themselves, and their lives are crooked. So crooked that we're going to see what happens here. But the righteous will live by their faithfulness to God. The word fidelity is wrong in Spanish here. The word fidelity is wrong. Fidelity is good. To be faithful, absolutely. But that is not what the word that should have been used in this version. Although other version says faith. And the righteous shall live by faith. Fidelity and faith are very different things. Completely different. And some years ago, that we would try to understand that the Torah was the tree of life, and it isn't. We would try to comprehend that fidelity is above faith, and it's got nothing to do with the fact, absolutely nothing to do with the fact. Faith is the certainty of what shall happen, of what will take place, of what we believe in, will receive, and we don't see it yet. And fidelity is to be faithful to something. So then it's two different things, completely different. You can't even complement one another. One thing is to believe blindly that something will take place, and another is to be faithful to something. It is clear that this text is talking about faith because it says the righteous, and you have to be righteous, by the way, already. It doesn't say man shall live by his faith. No, the righteous shall live by faith, not the unjust. But it doesn't say the unjust will live by faith. It doesn't say that. It says the righteous, first of all, righteous to be faithful. A righteous is already faithful. A righteous man will live by his faith. And they say fidelity unto God. It doesn't say that. It says the righteous shall live by faith. Wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations. It's talking about exactly about Babylon. In their greed, they gathered up many nations and swallowed many peoples. But soon, their captives will taunt them. Who are their captives? We, let's say. Shall taunt them. They will mock them, saying, "What sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion." I would say extortion, lies. But how much longer can this go on? How much longer can this go on? Suddenly, I'll continue on here. Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have, while you stand trembling and helpless. That is Babylon. Because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. What sorrow awaits you who build big houses with money gained in dishonesty? You believe your wealth will buy security, putting your family's nest beyond the reach of danger. But by the murders you committed, you have shamed your name, and that name is Israel, and forfeited your lives. The very stones in the walls cry out against you, and the beams and the ceilings echo that complaint. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? Has not Yahweh Sebaot promised that the wealth of the nations will turn to ashes? They work so hard, but all in vain. For as the waters fill the sea, the earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory of Yahweh that is magnificent. And who will be in charge of teaching wisdom and truth of the glory of Yahweh, his bride? Of course, just like the waters fill the sea, the earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory of Yahweh. What sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk? For you force your cup on them. Oh, this is the symbol. You force your cup on them so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness. But soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. Come, drink, and be exposed. Drink from the cup of Yahweh's judgment. Exactly. We go back to the same thing. The cup of wine 2019. This whole prophecy has to do with the cup of wine. It's telling it to you. Drink from the cup of Yahweh's judgment. Obviously, they all drank from the cup, whether they want to or not. Even if they want to, they have to drink either way. Those who have to drink. But blessed are those who arrived at a special date. Drink from the cup of Yahweh's judgment, and all your glory will be turned to shame. Into shame, that is what will take place with Babylon. You cut down the forest of Lebanon. Now you will be cut down. You destroyed the wild animals. So now their terror will be yours. You committed murder throughout the countryside, but of course, precisely everything that we've lived, and filled the towns with violence. What good is an idol carved by man, or a cast image that deceives you? Those images of things that do not exist. How foolish to trust in your own creation, a God that can't even talk. What sorrow awaits you who say to wooden idols, "Wake up and save us." Those idols are those of the white robe and all the rest of the idiots. To speechless stone images you say, "Rise up and teach us." Can an idol tell you what to do? Yes, one alone. It's called the artificial intelligence. Even though because Yahweh allows to give life unto it, they may be overlaid with gold and silver, but they are lifeless inside. But Yahweh is in his holy temple. Yahweh is in his holy temple. Yahweh is in his holy temple. What does that mean? Yahweh is in his bride. That is the temple of Yahweh. That all the earth be silence before him, and that'll happen. It'll take place. Even if the vision seems to delay, it's not delaying. Wait for it. The righteous shall live by faith. And the faith is the certainty. It is the substance, the certainty of things that are not seen, but that through faith we can see. And we shall receive what is promised. Absolutely. So then 2:17, fulfilled to the fullest. Even better than what we waited for. Fulfilled even better than what we waited, because I waited, I don't know. I said, I don't know. Anything could happen, but fulfilled even better because it gave reference to Noah, and it gave reference unto the abomination that maketh desolate. Both things, more fulfillment than that. Don't ask for it. Maybe you had not seen it clearly, but I show it to you because that's what I'm here for. To show you the path, to show you how Yahweh guides us on this flat earth. Very well. So then we begin. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. So then, I don't want to see any long faces, that nothing is fulfilled. Everything was fulfilled, even more than what we waited for. Maybe you were waiting to see, to see something in your blog. You will see it. Give it time. Just give it time. You'll see it. But the waters had been broken. The fountains of water have been broken. And the stupid beast, that who is like unto the beast, also has spoken once again. That idiot. But she spoke for her own destruction. Soon, destruction. And if we continue on with the sequence of the seals, trumpets, and plagues, we shall see how we are right in the midst of precisely what's taking place in all this. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh is one alone. It's not two, it's not three. He doesn't have a divine son that was born in heaven and he sent him to earth. Once you understand that principal main truth of the eternal truth, then you start to understand the marvelousness that are hidden in Scripture. Because all the marvelous, or the marvels hidden in Scripture, are understood through only one thing. Yahweh Ekhad. Yahweh is one alone. He doesn't have a son. It's not three. It's not two. And there's only one. Once you understand that it's only one, everything starts to change. Absolutely. Your whole information of the Bible has to be reinterpreted, because God did not have any being to send. If God didn't have any being to send in the first place, then he sent himself. And your most favorite text, which is John 3:16, already gives you the cue. And then, once you understand that, everything that Revelation talks about Jesus and God, then we understand that it's something else. That is what the eternal truth understands. Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of Elohim, kavod of Elohim is to conceal a thing, yet it is the glory or kavod of the king to search out the matter. Only those who understand this are kings, the rest are not kings. They're slaves. They are subject to any other type of religion, but they're not kings. Jeremiah 16:19 through 21. Nakarkalunga, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, in my refuge in the day of affliction. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. All the religions we had, vanity within there is no profit. If it is man that should make himself gods, then they're not gods. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know, I will cause them to know my hand and my might, and they shall know, they don't know, they shall know that my name is Yahweh. We're not three, we're not a trinity, it's not the Father and the Divine Son. It is me, one alone, and my bride, which is a group of people, which are the sons of Elohim, which is the Mashiach, which is the Messiah, as God could be the Messiah. You'd have to be absolutely ridiculous for God to say, I'm also the Messiah. Who anointed you? I anointed myself. It isn't so. God is God, and the Messiah is the one that he anoints. That's the way it is. Very well. Malachi 2:17, that's why we have here the little octopi here, the little octopus. We have the charro hat, and Eddie is here with the Argentinian flag. Ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? Well, let's see, what have we wearied Yahweh? In ye say, everyone that doeth evil is good in the sight of Yahweh, and he delighteth in them, or else, where is the Elohim of judgment? That's why, as long as our complaint, Yahweh says, look, the end is near. It would seem as if there is a delay, but there really is no delay. The righteous, not just anyone, the righteous, by his faith, shall live. So then, where is the Elohim of justice? We've discovered in Esther that he's drinking with the beast, but now it has been broken. The fountains of the waters have been broken. And let's go to the text of the invitation, which was the same of last week, which we didn't use, and the picture is spectacular of this spectacular moon that Leslie posted. It says, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. What does that mean? Well, first of all, we could, in a speculative way, try to discover some terms, but not all of them, because we're in the very first one barely, and if we don't know what would take place in 2:17, sometimes we have to wait to understand, but we like to try to understand. So then, first seal and trumpet reads as follows. And I still watched when the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals, and I heard the first of the fourth living beings that said with a thunderous voice, said, come. And I saw, and there was a white horse. That white horse are those of the white robe. Of course, it represents that part of science. And the one riding upon him had a bow. What did he have? A toxin. And he was given a crown. What it was given to him, something that is called a crown. And he went conquering as a conqueror, conquering and to continue to conquering. Whom did he conquer? He was going to defeat 2/3 of humanity. Was this fulfilled? Absolutely. Completely. What does the trumpet say? And I saw the seven angels. Well, that's aside, the initial part. Let's go to number 7, Revelation 8:7. And the first angel sounded the trumpet, and there followed hail, and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Very interesting. We have to combine it precisely with the seal. The seal says that the pharmakeia rides to conquer and conquering, and has a toxin also called as a crown. So then, what is that? Well, when we arrive at the trumpet, because it's sequential, only in sequential, when we get to the trumpet, then the solution is given, and the solution is hail and blood mingled with fire. All this is a play of words, which means that in the blood there is hail and fire. That is what they mixed to people's blood. What could it be? Absolutely, it could be many different substances amongst them that very possibly, if it exists and everything that we believe in, graphene, it's perfect. Absolutely. And so then that makes an effect that makes it burn. But now we have the plague, which is the one that we have yet to see develop. That's where we are in the first trumpet. It's all group. Seals, trumpets, and plagues, but it's sequential and has different characteristics. We have to know how to combine it. So then, we have not passed on to anything else but that we're waiting for the first plague to be given to the fullest. What's it say? I heard a voice that said from heaven to the seven angels and said, "Go thy ways and pour out the 7 vials of the wrath of God." And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there a noisome and grievous sore upon, or a plague, an evil and grievous, or an evil poisoning wound, an evil poisoning wound, and grievous sore upon the man which had the mark of the beast. So then the mark had already been placed before, and that worship, not just that they had the mark, but that they worshipped this image. So then there is a combination that I've explained last Shabbat. There's a combination. Not only is it necessary for the mark, but also the worship. So then the mark plus the worship, it's the plague that we have yet to have seen. But very soon I believe that we're starting to see an effect, a brutal effect. Mainly these guys call a new peace upon the world, loose upon the world. So then that's why they're going to have that digital certificate. Who knows? Absolutely, we don't know anything. Very well. So then, but how could we reduce in one sole word the trump, or in two, the first trumpet, sealed trumpet plague? How could we reduce it? And we could reduce it as follows: mark, the mark, just like that, in just one word, mark. Pharmakeia marks you with a toxin. There is a crown, fire and hail in the blood that produces for an ulcer or a malignant and grievous sore, comes in all those that have that mark and that worship that beast. So then, we could reduce everything into the mark. Number 1, the mark. Now we move on to number 2. The second sealed trumpet plague. Revelation 6:3-4 reads as follows: "And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second being that said, 'Come,' and then another horse, a red one came, a red horse, and was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." We've already spoken about this, that reason for there to be violence and that they want to kill each other, and that great sword, that reason is the most probable and logical, is the effect of the plague. So then that is the reason, the wrath, the anger, that it shows up in people. The trumpet says, then the second angel sounded, and as a great mountain equals Babylon, the government, burning with fire due to everything that is happening, not what's happening now, but what will happen when the people notice that they are marked, and that mark is a death mark, burning with fire, was cast into the sea. In other words, in the people, at the hand of the people, in the third part of the sea, will turn to blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea, which had life, died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So then, ships equals commerce equals anything that is travel and the rest. So then, without going further of what, in order to not speculate way too much, it means that when the effect of the plague is visible, obviously the government will fall because the people will be responsible to the government, so then it'll be a disaster actually, but then everything in turn, not so chaotic, subtly also, always subtle, because the world will not be a chaos, because or else what would the other plagues make any sense? It's always subtle, as it would seem that we ask ourselves, might it be that or not? It'll never be brutal like that everything, wow, yes, look at how Babylon fell. No, Babylon stays until the end. So then the fall of Babylon is subtle. It's subtle. the people will start to blame. What do you call blame in Spanish? To blame the system of Babylon due to their evils and with reason. So then that's what we'll see. So then other people of Babylon, they say, yeah, they are to blame, and that is what you set Babylon in fire. Do you understand? It's always subtle, though. Subtle. In the second plague, it could not be a disaster that everyone kills each other. It can't be, because or else what do you want with the rest? It's all subtle. It's all no subtle. It was just like 217 was subtle, almost fulfilled. Like 1290 was subtle. It's not a day that says here it ended. No, it's subtle. It's like it vanished subtly. 217, 1335 was subtle. The plagues will be subtle, just as subtle as those writing that has talked in the sand. It's subtle. It's all subtle. We see it afterwards, actually. Okay, so then, what's it say on the trumpet? The second angel poured his cup upon the sea, and it came to be a blood of a dead man. But of course, this whole plague and everything, and those that have the blood, it'll be like blood as of dead men. Very well. We've already studied what is the great mountain Babylon. We've studied that. And we move on to... Yes, we've done that. The plague already. Oh, yes, perfect. Talked about the plague. The second one. Now let's go to the third one. In other words, if we reduce to one word, if we reduce into one word, the first one as a mark, the second one, we could reduce it to death begins due to that plague, okay? The first one is the mark, and it ends when you start to see what the mark of the people is, which is the cup of wrath. But the second one, it's the effect that is caused into people of Babylon and the peoples and nations, and there starts to be death amongst them. Death due to the plague, and death due to themselves. I want you to follow the sequence. First one is a mark. The second one is death. Not everything, it's subtle. Okay? Very well. It's so subtle that the people don't even know that they're marked. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's subtle. Nelson, don't fall asleep. He gets here late and then he falls asleep on me. Okay? I'm going to make him expose me. He's like, he gets here late, and do you think so? He gets here late, and then he falls asleep on me. I mean, these rabbis, wow. Third seal. Trumpet plague says, and when he opened the third seal, you see, wait, because I'll forget. First, he said mark. Second one, I said death. It's not the death of everything, but you start to see the death to the cause of the mark and due to the anger that they get. You understand what I'm saying, right? Okay, very well. And the third one, what could it be? Okay. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances. What did I say balances were? Judgment. Because in Daniel 5:27 says, Tekel, ye have been weighed in balances, and was found lacking, whom was told that? The king of Babylon. And if they told the king of Babylon that, it's the same story of Babylon now, because the historical Babylon, imperial Babylon, it's only the symbol of Babylon today. So then, the time of judgment, a divine judgment on behalf of God, because judgment, we have issued it already. And when the third open seal, heard the third beast say, come and see, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances. He comes to issue judgment. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, but see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Very well, perfect. We've already seen this. The wheat and the penny, it has is more worth than the rest. Worth is given, very high worth. The wheat and the barley, I said barley, the wheat and the barley represents the best part of the humanity. The wheat and the barley will represent the 1/3 of humanity that shall live and will survive. I don't know if the word is survive because they will be resurrected. They will live in the 7th millennium. The wheat and the barley represents the 144,000, the 2 witnesses, whatever you want to call it. That is what the wheat and the barley represents. 2 different groups. One is more special than the other, and the wheat and the wine represents the bride of Yahweh, because the oil and the wine has life, and the oil represents what the Mashiach is. So then, that is what represents the Mashiach, the human one. The sons of Elohim, the bride, that those do not get hurt. So then, and why? Why is there a command in the third one? First, we said that it was marked. Second, that it was death, not complete, but death that you start to see. And the third one, already, I don't know if to call it judgment already, but I'm going to say judgment. Maybe I'll change it later. And the third one, you see a judgment, a separation between the common world. The wheat is worth this much, and barley is worth this much, and the oil and the wine do not touch. You cannot touch it. It is out from what's coming. What will happen? That is what's important. The command is, the oil and the wine do not hurt. What does that mean? That the rest, the wheat, the barley, and the rest receive something, except for the oil and the wine. Now let's go to the trumpet. The third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning like a lamp, and it burnt up the third part of the rivers and the third part of the waters. I told you that that star that falls burning represents what? The Torah. It represents Moses, represents the religion. And they had it to be a star. The star of the Torah, that of Moses. The star of Moses, the star of salvation. It falls burning to earth. It means that there is an effect that they shall notice that they have no salvation in the Torah, nor nothing, nor Moses or anything. It falls upon what? It has to fall upon the rivers and the fountains of water. What does it represent? The rivers and the fountains of water. It represents Israel, all of Judaism, and also Christianity. That is what it represents. And why do I say such things? Which we've already seen, because in the plague we see it as clearly as daylight. But I'm still in the trumpet. So then this star that fell from heaven, burning, and falls burning to us, it has already been burning. This star has been burning, and it's been burnt. We used to think that it was a shining star. It's the tree of life. The tree of life. The tree, we have to eat this. We have to follow the laws. At some point in time, it was burnt over and it fell. Dog shit. That is what happened to us. It happened with everything. And then the end of it all, so many 613 mitzvot and all that dog shit, reading this dog shit every day of our life. Reading thanks for not making us women, thanks for not making us goyim, and for everything that you see. And now this will be set in fire. This is the star of Judaism, of Christianity, and be set on fire. We already set it in fire long ago. We already brought it down with one shot, straight on fire. We brought it down, but that'll have a special effect in people. Because that has to take place that way. Why does that have to take place that way? Because they're bringing another star, the star of the morning star, Lucifer. Lucifer is emerging. Suck on that, Christian. And who is Lucifer? Lucifer is the eternal truth. We are Lucifer. It has to fall. This shit illuminates supposedly the world, and the star, the eternal star called Lucifer, has to rise up, which is the bride of Yahweh, the star that will illuminate the whole world. So then that has to fall. That is to fall. Very well. And it says that it turned to waters to wormwood, bitter. Oh, how sweet. We used to think we that fulfilled the Torah, and we didn't fulfill shit, the sons of bitches. Nothing. Just like that, tell it to you like that. It'll turn to bitterness, bitterness. Those that kiss the Torah and the Pharmakeia Palacios that goes by the Torah says, and he reverences it. I sent it to shit. I put an electric guitar. That was given to me by Abraham. Yeah, all the gifts. We have an electric guitar instead of the Torah. So then, this will become bitterness, just like that. Like we ate the little book of Daniel that became bitter, this will become bitter to them. So bitter that it says that it'll be wormwood. Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died at the waters because they were made bitter. But of course, many shall die, and almost all of them. Let's go to the plague. Revelation 16, 4 through 7. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers, once again the fountains of the waters, and upon the fountains of waters where the wormwood water fell. Do you remember? It's all so you understand who it is. The fountains of the waters, and they became blood. Now not wormwood, but blood, because it's all symbols. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art, and wast, and shalt be, because thou hast judged this. Why? Judgment has passed. Do you remember? You remember I said that the black horse had, well, not the red horse. Yeah, the black one had balances in his hand. Okay, judgment. And here in the plague it says you have judged. So then when the seal starts, the judgment begins. And when it ends with the plague, then it says you have judged these things. For they have shed who? The fountains of the waters, where it fell. For they shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. So then, who are the fountains of the water? We already know. Babylon, Israel. Those are the fountains of the water. Revelation says it entirely. Yeshua says it to their faces. You have killed the prophets. It says you are the assassins, and you are the assassins of it all. So then, who are the fountains of the water? The fountains of life? They, of course, absolutely, more than clear. It is more than, this is not even a speculation. This is absolutely reality. Who poured out the blood of the saints? They did. So then who is that star that fell? It is what they follow. That star is set on fire. This is why they have poured out the blood of the saints and the prophets in their way, right? So then it says, I also heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true. Once again, we get to this word of judgment. What did he have? Balances? The one that rode thereon had balances. No, with me, you have to see it so clearly. The seal, a black horse with balances. And he says, you know what? I am paying 1 pound of wheat, 1 penny, and 3 of barley for 1 penny. The rest doesn't pay for shit, nothing. He says nothing, it's worthless. But the wine and the oil do not touch them. They don't receive any hurt. They don't receive hurt. Everything else does, but that's the judgment. That's why it says, your judgments are true and righteous. Very clear. So then, we have the mark, we have the death, and the third one we have judgment. Judgment. And what comes after this? What comes after this? Let us go to the fourth one. Finally, we get to the text. Today we do get to the text, Laz. Today we got to the text. Today we're gonna eat. Polenta. Angelina made the sauce, and we shall eat polenta. How delicious. We make polenta, not only polenta is kind of like wheat, cracked wheat. If you don't know what it is, look it up online, because it is like corn, cracked corn, but before you used to wait for a whole hour, but now you can make it in 1 minute. Argentinian, because here there's no 1 minute polenta here, but in Argentina we buy it in Argentinian places. Okay, but we don't make it only with water. We add to that water a little bit of broth. It could be vegetable broth, and we add a little bit less of halfway, but let's say 1/3 of milk. Until halfway of milk, we replace water by milk because we want it to be more creamy. And to that, we add butter, quite a bit of butter. So then you have a polenta that is spectacular. I don't know if you've ever eaten a polenta that's so delicious. So then that polenta, and salt, of course, even if it has milk and butter, it's salty. And you have, how's the polenta? You that have tried it, a delight. And we add sauce and cheese. Before adding the sauce, we add mozzarella cheese to all that. And then you have the polenta mixed with mozzarella cheese. It's all spectacular like that. And with the tomato sauce, it's a delight. The only thing against the polenta is that you eat a little bit like that and it fills you up. It fills you. I would want to eat 2 plates like that, but no. Just a little bit like that, and it leaves you full. Okay, now let us go and see immediately how many likes we have. We have 252 likes. Exactly, because it's a winter food in the summer. In Argentina, it is what the poor people eat because it's cheap, and maybe they have to eat it in summer, but it's also for winter actually because it has a lot of calories. That's what it is. Very well. Exactly. To have strength. We use, because we eat polenta in Argentina, the synonym of strength, not officially, but in common, I have a lot of polenta, means I have a lot of strength. That is what it means in the common language. I'm going to Argentinize you. Polenta means strength. Very well. So then how many likes do we have? We have the likes. If you forgot to give us a like, give us a like. If somebody is sad to 217, give us a like and you'll get happy because you have understood exactly. Just by giving us a like, you will have a smile and you will feel well. I promise you. Give us a like and you'll feel well. Put a thumb down and you can go home. You can go back the way you came. Okay, moving on. Some idiot commented last Shabbat and I left it there. He says, oof. How boring. This guy bores the same thing. It's always the thing, but he's a follower of Palacios. That doesn't bore him at all. Exactly. Why does he watch? And I could say, this is so fake, but it's not boring. Exactly. Of course. And I'm so desperate to see that boredom with Christian, just to insult people, just to insult us. So then we are waiting for you to come and get bored with us. Very well. So then our likes have gone up. They've gone up. Very well. We can go back to see what this trumpet, seal, and plague tells us. Revelation 6, Jerusalem 2001, when he opened the 4th seal. I heard the voice of the 4th being that says, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth to kill, with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. What does this mean? And the death of whom? Okay, we've got the first one, mark. The second one, death. The third, judgment. And the fourth one, once again, death. No. Not simply no. I'm about to explain. Let us go to the trumpet. What does the trumpet say? And notice, I don't give it so much interest when they said 1/4, 1/3. I don't give it I mean, maybe it has something to do with that, but I don't give it a lot of importance. But this one says that he had what? Power to kill what? The 1/4 of the earth. The full 1/4 of the earth. It's interesting. Because the earth, if we divide the population in four, for example, if we divide the population into four, because it's no longer talking about that it's got power to kill, nor to taint the waters of the sea, 1/3. No, now it's talking about directly of the people in the 1/4. 1/4 of the earth is, if there's 8 billion people, 1/4 would be 2 billion. Or 2 billion. In Spanish, it's different. 2,000 million. That is correct, right? 8 billion people, right? So then we have 2 billion. 1/4, we understand it to be 1/3 will be saved. So then 1/3 is less even than 1/3. You understand? So then if they killed 1/4 of the earth, you still have one group of people alive that will live on the millennium. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? For those of you that didn't go to school, or you're not too quick in mathematics, if we divide the world into four, like a pizza, divide it into four, then one sole portion would be 1/4 of the earth, which is allowed for them to kill. But if we divide the portion of the pizza into three, like the Mercedes-Benz symbol, a trinity, number 3, that portion which is greater than 1/4 is the one that will survive, or the one that will live in the 7th millennium. Even if you kill 1/4 of the earth, you still have one group of people, very great number, that are a part of those that will live in the 7th millennium. Do I make myself be understood? Okay, very well. Keep that in mind. Trumpet, Revelation 8:12-13 reads as follows. And the 4th angel sounded, and the 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and the 3rd part of the moon, and the 3rd part of the stars, so as the 3rd part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a 3rd part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. It says, if you have a right up until here, you haven't seen anything yet. It says, poor people of what's happening now. What does the 4th trumpet mean? Write it down. It is death, and I'm about to explain death of the 2 witnesses. Death, because everything is related in the same story. Mark the effect of the trumpet. Instead, Mark, I could also call it, well, yeah, effect and death. Death, I'll leave it as death. A death, that's give or take. And number 2, 3rd judgment. 4th one, a death. Once the judgment is issued and divided, your barley, your wheat, your oil and wine, the rest is something else. That is judgment. The death of what comes of the barley and the wheat. That is the death. That's why the 3rd one was so important. And judgment says your wheat and barley, you'll be harvested dead. But do not touch, not the wine nor the oil. Do not touch the wine or the oil. The barley and the wheat, which have already been paid for and valued very well, a lot more than what it is valued actually, that you have to harvest it, in other words, dead. The wine and the oil cannot be touched. So then, in the 4th seal, but the logic itself tells you comes the death of the wheat and the barley of the 2 witnesses. That's why it says, and was heard the 3rd part of the sun. Who is the sun right in this world? It's not us. We do not illuminate anyone. Barely I illuminate you, and that's something else and not the world, nothing else. Who illuminates the world? Those who speak unto the world. Those who speak unto the world are the light of the world. We are not the light of the world for now. They are. The 2 witnesses are. We've said it clearly that we were given the command of measuring the temple of God, measuring the altar, and measuring the worshippers. And the two witnesses was given, it says, you testify. Where? Into the entire world. You testify. You're the witnesses unto the nations. So then they are the light of the world. And it's divided into many different parts. Sun, moon, and stars. They have different categories. So then it says that the third part of the sun, the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars was hurt. Not, about the third doesn't have much to do with it, but it has that it was hurt, dead, turned off, so that it be darkened. Yes, of course, if they start speaking, the earth is darkened, and the day shone not for the third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld, and I heard an angel, and I've already read it. Let's go to the plague. So you see how it all fits in. And the fourth angel poured his cup upon the sun, the same thing, and power was given unto him to scorch men. It would seem to be contradictory. The trumpet says that the sun, one third of it is turned off, and the plague says that the sun augments in power. So then, how is this contradiction? Either the sun is hurt, one third of it, or is the sun augmented? Which are the two? It's two things at the same time. Why? Because first one comes and then the other. The fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. In the measure that the trumpet starts to get developed, and they start to kill the two witnesses, they start to kill the light of the earth, the light of the moon and the stars, then what they achieve is to lighten up, and then the sun, what is left of it, starts to burn men, and to scorch them means to torment them. It means to testify even more. And men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed. To be scorched with great heat, which the sun produces, is really to be angered due to the truths that the witnesses say. Not more than that. It's not talking about physical death or a real sun. It's not talking about physical sun. It's talking about the message. So then, it says that the men are scorched with great heat of the sun and blaspheme the name of God, which hath power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory. Of course, they repented not, because they didn't even wanted to understand the message. They're already marked. And the only thing that the witnesses do that are left are to exasperate them even more. To exasperate them. So then, wanting to turn something off, what they achieved to do in some aspect, like YouTube wanted to do when they wanted to censor something, they go somewhere else. The message leaks. You want to censor it, but it's even worse. You get like the phrase says about the shot gets back at you when you want to turn something off. Actually, it gets burned with the sun. Who burns them? It's the message. It's the message. But either way, they don't repent. You have to see it that way. So then, what does this fourth seal trumpet plague mean? It is the death of the witnesses. Like the death of the witnesses. I'll sum it up in a message. Death of the witnesses. The first one was the mark in the entire world. The second one is the consequence of the mark, pain and death, but not of all. The third one is a judgment comes to separate things, wheat, barley, and the rest, and then wine and oil. And the fourth one, once the judgment is made, then the death of the witnesses comes. And by logic, what could come on the fifth one? By logic, tell me, just tell me. I'm not going to answer until you tell me. Just like that, I'll stay here, and if you don't tell me, I'll shut everything down. By logic only. Mark, death, judgment, death of the witnesses. What follows in the story? No, what? Say it loud, loud. Dare to say it. How does the story begin? I've explained it to you so many things. Mamma mia. I don't want to insult anybody. Of course, speak and chat. What follows? What follows? I've been explaining it. I got tired. I don't want to say it because you'll discover 2 minutes. I want you to think. Use the neurons that are left of 217. Use it. Use them. A mark, a death and wound, a judgment, death of the witness is what follows. No. What follows? Very well, very well. Mystiker, the resurrection. What the fuck happened to the witnesses? In 3 days they were celebrating. Then what happened? And the spirit of life entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. Does it not say that? Why didn't you say it? The third one, you can write it down without explaining it. Resurrection. The third one is the resurrection. That is what I have to find in the fifth seal, trumpet plague. It might be that I find that, but of course I find it. I mean, it is highlighted. It's the same story all the time. It's always the same story. In the fourth one, we could say is the testification of the two witnesses, testification thereof, and death of two witnesses. In the fifth one, the resurrection thereof. But of course, let's see if we find that in the fifth one part. Fifth seal, trumpet, plague. It reads as follows. Revelation 6, 9 through 11, Jerusalem 2001. And when the fifth seal was opened, I saw the soul of those that had been beheaded due to the testimony which they beheld in the word of God. Wow! Now you understand why the fifth seal sees the beheaded. When were they beheaded in the fourth one? And the fourth one was the death of the witnesses. It's more than clear. It is hallucinating. Once I explain something, it's really hallucinating. If you get bored, then go fuck yourself, because I explain something to you that when I speak it, even my skin, I get goosebumps. How phenomenal what I explain. I get admired what I'm explaining. I can imagine if I were listening on the other side. I mean, this guy, I have to listen to him every fucking day. But of course, there's no more logic than this. It makes my mind blowing. It's not in a vision that I had some Ellen G. White and a fucking bitch that bore him. No, it's so clear. It's so clear. The death of the witnesses, first judgment, division, death of the wheat and the barley, death. The son is wounded, death, and then what are you going to see? The dead. What dead people? I'll read it again because it is hallucinating. When he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain in the word of God and for the testimony which they held. Why? Because they were the two witnesses, and of the testimony that they held. When did they held it? They held it against the whole world. They didn't mark themselves, and they held up that testimony. And they started to shout, but of course, they were dead. They're shouting, but it is the blood. They cry out for justice, and they started to cry out in a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them without having taken revenge on them because of the blood of them that dwell on the earth? Who killed them? Them that dwell on the earth, more than clear. It is perfect, the prophetic thread. Who killed them? Them who dwell on the earth. They are dead. Who? The two witnesses. The same story of the two witnesses. Then was given to them robes, white robes were given into them, and it said, wait a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as them should be fulfilled. In other words, that when the fifth seal is open, the deaths are still going. You understand? They're still going because precisely a number has to be fulfilled, completed. What is that number? 1/3. That 1/3 is the number. So then the deaths continue. And if they say, hold on, and symbolically speaking, they say, hold on, we're going to give you these white robes which are justice. Wait a little longer. And who tells them to wait a little longer? Let us now go into the fantasy of that there's a dialogue with him. Who's speaking? The bride is speaking. You see how in the two witnesses, when they were dead and they resurrected, it says they were told, come up hither. Where? And they went up into heaven in a cloud. They went up to power in a cloud, a white cloud. They're dressed in white robes. There is a mystery of what's happening here, but of course, I'll explain. But of course, that in order for them to be wheat and barley, the two witnesses, you don't have to understand YHWH. You have to understand the message against Babylon, which could be, effectively, could be against medicine, just like that, against the medicine of Babylon, just like that. But of course, it has to be against the government of Babylon, it has to be against the deceit of Babylon. So then, those people can believe in them. The aliens, invisible monster, they could believe in whatever other stupid shit. They could smoke all the ayahuasca they can find. But they are against the Babylonian system. So then, they have to be instructed in order for them to understand the truth. First, dead, because now they're not going to understand it. Because it is not their mission to understand. They have different mission. They have different mission of giving light. Whatever stupid shit that they say against Babylon. You understand what I'm saying, right? But they will die. And once they die, they have to receive the information of what the truth is. Not just what they said. It was part of the truth, but the truth is another. Then that is the part that symbolizes, and they are given white robes, a white dress that has not, that they don't have their own justice. They don't have the true knowledge of YHWH. They don't understand who is the bride of Yahweh. So then they have to die. That is why they complain, symbolically speaking. Then they were given a white robe and was said to them that they should rest yet a little season. So then, in this insanity that would seem completely science fiction, when the two witnesses die, when they resurrect and they say, come up hither, when it says come up hither, it's to teach them what the truth is. They have to learn, and since they have gone through the process of death, they're not going to object. They are willing to learn already, willing to learn entirely everything. They've died already, and they've seen that somebody has the power to resurrect them. And if somebody has power to resurrect them, then they better pay attention. That's what will happen with them. That's out of the white robes they received then. Because up until then, they could not understand. You understand? Well, it's all symbols. And we shall go to the trumpet to see if we see a resurrection here. What do you think? Will we see a resurrection? But of course. And we'll have fun. The fifth angel sounded. And I saw a star that fell from heaven to earth. Once again. No, not most of them. That's another star. That falls from heaven. But we could say already fallen from heaven. What do you mean fallen from heaven? Yes. That corresponds to the children of Elohim. I'm about to explain. And I saw a star fallen from heaven, already fallen from heaven. Actually, it says fallen from heaven. Not that it fell in that moment, but that it had fallen from heaven. And it was given the key of the abyss. There it is. It has to do with the abyss, the resurrection, absolutely. The abyss is Sheol. The abyss is Sheol, and if you remember the seventh seal, we'll go back to the fourth seal. Because of this, we could talk about a lot for a long time. Because for you, it's completely new. But once you study it, and you remember it, and you hear me once again, because this should be heard once again, when you listen to me once again and stop the video and you read the sequence, you'll understand how marvelous it is what I'm teaching. And the fourth seal says, I go back to the fourth seal, okay? The fourth seal says, when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living being saying, come and see. And I looked, and there was a pale horse, and the one that rode thereon was called Death. What was his name? Death. What death is the death of two witnesses? And Hades followed him. Who followed him? Who followed him? Hades. Hades is the abyss. Hades is the tomb. So then, in the fourth seal is presented death and tomb. In the fifth seal, a star that had fallen from heaven was given the key of the abyss. It was given the key of the abyss. that star that had fallen from heaven. The fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star. It says that it fell, but the other version, it says that it had fallen from heaven. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. What key was given to him? Of the bottomless pit. What does that mean? The power to resurrect. The key to open something is the key to open the tomb. If you have the key to open the grave, it's not to see a cadaver, it's to resurrect. You understand what I'm saying? It's clear. Number 5, seal, trumpet plate, resurrection. Okay, this star falling from heaven is given the power that it did not have, That's why it is given. Was given the key of the bottomless pit. It was given power to resurrect. And opened already with that power. And he opened the bottomless pit. And there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. What is it that he brought out of the pit? What is it that he has to be resurrected? Wow. In my interpretation, this star has the power to resurrect what he wants. And what is he going to want? What I see here are the 2 witnesses which died, and also people, righteous people, that this star believe that they are just and righteous and they'll be a part of the army. What is this for? Because the earth has already fallen, the sun, the moon, and the stars, they've killed the 2 witnesses, and it's only the oil and the wine left. The oil and the wine is the one that receives the power, the key of the bottomless pit to resurrect and to form its army, because the oil and the wine are few. The judges are few. They need an army. And where is that army? Dead. The army is dead. So then, power is given them to resurrect and they form their army. It is the very same story of the 2 witnesses which are told, come hither, come up hither, come to our army. We'll train you. We're going to teach you. We're going to give you white robes of justice. But actually, they're going to be our army. And of the smoke came up locusts upon the earth. Some time ago when we were barely understanding, because this was all concealed, with tons of wrong interpretations and without understanding anything, we correctly, for that time, thought that we were the locusts. We, the locusts. Well, we're not the locusts. The locusts are dead. Are the ones that resurrect. The locusts are the army of the Messiah. You see how you have the word of God, and it was followed by the army. The locusts are not we. The locusts are those that are resurrected and trained. This will take some time. Because obviously, the people that are resurrected, they're going to have to understand why they were resurrected, what they did right in their life to be able to be a part of this army. They have to learn. So in this, it's not going to be a quick ending. I tell it to you now, maybe it'll be till 2031 here, I don't know. But this will take its time. While the whole world is so fucks to hell, this will take its time. I'm already seeing it. It'll take time. In other words, when this starts to get fulfilled, this resurrection will take first a school of this people. And those who are going to train them, they have to have received already the key of the bottomless pit. And with the bottomless pit key, a power, of course, if we have power to resurrect, just imagine what kind of power we have, right? So then it all takes its time. It's not going to be quickly. It'd be ugly if it was quick. No. They are resurrected and they're told, hey, come here. Where to? To a cloud. They went up into heaven on a platform, a cloud. All that will take some time. And then we're going to have to comprehend why they're fighting, whom they're fighting for, who Yahweh is, who is the Messiah, and they're going to convince themselves and say, of course, let's go ahead and fight. It all takes time. So then I can already see that it all ends in 2032, but in the measure that we're moving on, that's why it says, do not despair. It'll everything be okay. No bullets will stop this train. Nothing. So then I'll once again see what the locusts are. And out of the smoke, out of the abyss that was generated, which was opened of the death, came out of the smoke of the abyss locusts upon the earth. And unto them was given power. Of course, they didn't have any power. They were given power. You have to train them. You have to make them think. You have to educate them. You have to take all the stupid shit that they have. You have to show them who is the one that calls the shots here and why they were resurrected. And if you have power to resurrect them, you have power to also send them back to the grave immediately, because the key of the bottomless pit opens and closes, yes or no? But of course, so then they're going to see immediately where they are standing and who had pity and mercy of them. So then out of the smoke of the bottomless pit, resurrection.
And it is interesting to see that it was a woman that is the one that in charge of bringing them
brings to life, exactly. Resurrects, but of course, Yeshua told Nicodemus, you have to go back to be born again into the womb for your mother to make you once again. He understood her. How can a man being old go back into the womb of a woman? The womb of a woman is the woman of Yahweh, the bride of Yahweh. He has to go back and be made by her. But of course, absolutely prophetic, magnificent, marvelous. So marvelous that I should stop here. How many? Just a little longer, okay? Because then you lose hope and then you want more and you don't learn a thing. Then I ask you, what follows after the death of these people? They don't know what follows. They don't know what follows. They're like, maybe, I'm sure that we're going to go to heaven. That's the only thing that I needed for you to tell me, to go to heaven with Ellen G. White. That's the only last thing that you could have told me. That's why I don't have to give you way too much. I've given you such a plague and a seal and trumpet that's completely, wow, that has blown your mind. And it says, and out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and to them was given power. Exactly. They didn't have it. They didn't have it. Power was given to them as the scorpions of the earth have power. There is when we make an army, because we're a few. We're about, how many rings am I gonna, like 300? I don't know. Nobody wants them anymore. I don't know if this guy wants to make them, so then I don't know how many rings there are going to be. 300. With 300, we're okay. It should be 700. With 700, it's still nothing. Absolutely nothing. What is that? Nothing. Compared to the army that we have to have, that says, well, a number is given to that army, but I don't know if it's literal. Apparently, it would be only a few. Okay, out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power. As the scorpions of the earth have power, and it was commanded them that they should, because they have to obey commands of whom? And it was commanded them, that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. In other words, those who had the mark. Unto them they have to torture. Those they must torture. And one could ask, but isn't it that they all die? Apparently, there is one group. There's one group. Let's suppose, that's why I've told you, let's suppose that there is 1/4. Like it says, just like it says that power was given them to kill 1/3 of the earth, that fourth is the barley and the wheat, but there is another part that completes the third of 1/4 to 1/3, one that has not died. They have a seal, the seal of God. You understand what I'm saying, right? How is it? I can't really comprehend it completely if they all die or just a remnant is left. Either way, it's fine. We continue on with the prophecy. Apparently, there is one part that is not the oil and the wine, but a remnant that did not die. But that and all, they have the seal of Elohim, and they will not be killed or tortured. And it was given to them that they should not hurt them, but that they should torment them 5 months. 5 months entirely, and that is literal or only to confound, I do not know. But let's take it as that it's give or take literal 5 months is this army have to torture home those who have the mark of the beast. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it. This is very difficult to understand, but it's easy to understand when the angel that had fallen from heaven and had the bottomless pit key he has. If man seeks for death and man has death, it's close it, no one dies. It's easy. They could live with pain and not die, They could die. Just how horrible. It says that in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee them. Why? Because there's someone that has the key of the bottomless pit, and since the key he has it, I don't want them to die. So then they could be all bleeding without a head and they don't die. Just imagine some guy, they behead him and he's not dead. He's still alive like a zombie. Man, that's like a terror movie, I mean, that is what it says here. And the shapes of the locusts, in the words, the resurrected, was like unto the horses prepared unto battle, because it's an army. And this is symbolism, of course. And on their heads were crowns like gold, and their faces were on the faces of men. But of course, they're the human beings. And they had hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. It's all symbolism. It's so good, but there's no need to even revise. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. It repeats again, and that is what calls my attention, the 5 months. Maybe there are 5 months to teach the people that they have the mark of the beast, and to teach them and torture them that they understand once and for all what they have inside, and to top it off for them not to be able to die. Brutal, something like that. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue is Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, 3 come 2 woes more hereafter. Okay, this is more than clear, absolutely clear. I have taught years ago when we discovered this, and I taught it because to understand the truth is little by little, obviously, that Abaddon, which means the Father, Lord Father per se, Ab is Father, or Ava Father, and Don is Lord. So then the Lord Father, and in Greek Apollyon, the whole Christianity has it as something satanic, which is Satan in the flesh, the angel of the bottomless pit. It's Satan, because Satan is in hell with a trident, and that is the one that will poke your ass for 5 months with all his demons. Well, it's all the contrary. This Abaddon and Apollyon represents another name of a group. For that group is the one that resurrects these people. That group is called the Mashiach. The Mashiach is Abaddon, the Mashiach is Apollyon. It's not Yahweh. I taught you how Yahweh was because we were learning. But now, having understood even more, the prophetic role is being opened. It's not Yahweh. Obviously, Yahweh is not a fallen angel. All right? It's this person is the Mashiach, and it bears the name of Abaddon because it is the Father, because it was resurrected, and it's the Lord of all these demons, quote unquote. It is the army of the Mashiach. And so also it bears the name Apollyon. Another name, as to say the Lamb, the Mashiach, the bride of Yahweh, the sons of Elohim. So then, who is Apollyon? Who is Abaddon? It is not Yahweh. It is the Son of Man. It is the Mashiach. It is the one that has power and will have power to resurrect. That is that group. So special. But the Mashiach, the Word of God, Apollyon, Abaddon, needs an army. Because we're also not idiots and we need an army. Obviously, we need an army. Or else, why are we the Mashiach? We need an army. In that army, we shall resurrect it. And that is why I tell you that your faith cannot lack, not even then, because it's all about to be fulfilled. It's just that it's going to take some time. And I tell you now, it will take some time, and I can already see that it'll take all these years until precisely 2031. I don't know, but it's very good. The future for us, it's something hallucinatingly, incredibly marvelous. Very well. Now you see how the seal, the trumpet, talk about resurrection. Now let us go to the plague. Revelation 16, 10 through 11. Revelation 16, 10 through 11. And reads as follows. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. Absolutely clear. And the fifth one, the first thing that you see, because it's a sequential, are the souls of the dead, which are symbolically complaining when will there be justice, and they're told you have to wait a little longer. And they're told, and some white robes are given them, which is all that I can say. Training, and instruction, a whole quantity of things. Of maybe it takes a whole year of this. I don't know. It doesn't matter. In the trumpet, marvelously, the Son of Man receives the key of life and death. And with that key, will there be an army formed? It resurrects the two witnesses and resurrects other people. For example, alias Hummer. Alias even Hummer. I don't know. Well, I'll see it later. Paul. Yeah, why not? If you don't want to understand that, already goes back to the abyss. Remember who has the key? You don't want it? You like it or not? No? Okay. Where you go? I send them where you came from, boys. Here things are done this way, and this is the truth. And who are you? Who are you? The Mashiach. Wow. Already for them to get resurrected, they're not gonna doubt. They're not gonna have doubt. You have to be an idiot. You have doubts, then once back to the Hades. Okay, once to the Hades. So then, in the fifth one, and the seal, the cup of wrath, the plagues, the seal, you see the dead. Complaining trumpet, you already seen resurrected. The plague, what is it? Precisely what was developed in the trumpet. The torment into Babylon comes. But not the fight, the torment. I'll read it again. The fifth angel poured his vial upon the seat of the beast. What is the seat of the beast? It is the address of Babylon. The throne, I'm not going to say the city, but the throne of the beast is composed by 4 cities, but it is the entire world. We could say countries, no? Israel, the U.S., England, Russia, Germany. But it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's the whole world. But in the throne of the beast, It says that he poured out his vial and his kingdom was full of darkness. Why darkness? Because darkness are produced by the locusts. And they gnawed their tongues of pain. Why did they gnaw their tongues of pain? Because the locusts have power to cause men to suffer for 5 months and blaspheme the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And repented not of their deeds. We do not know how the torture will be, psychological or real, of these people as a punishment. Maybe they don't even see the locusts. Maybe the locusts, the Mashiach, the star, gives you power to be invisible, but to fuck the people up, to fuck with them, and says that they yell with pain, and the effect starts from the seed of the beast until the whole earth. So then, we go back. One talks about a mark. In the second, an effect that bears death, that they have it in the blood. The third one has judgment to see who has the mark and who doesn't, who worships and who doesn't. Judgment, they are divided. They're divided, marked. Barley, wheat, the oil and the wine, touch not. Who is the oil and wine? It is Abaddon, and it is Apollyon. Fourth, death. Death of the witnesses. Maybe it's the witnesses, and it's not all the witnesses, or it's the witnesses and a part that doesn't arrive to the level of the witnesses, but it's a part that is silent, but they're against Babylon. So then death comes. Fifth one, the witnesses complain, saying, hey, what's going on here? Until when will you have us here? And then the resurrection comes. A resurrection comes. And in the following chapter, we shall study what happens afterwards, which you should tell me what happens afterwards automatically. Only tell me if a mark comes, if an effect comes, which they have the death in the blood, then a judgment, a separation, then the death of the two witnesses, and then the resurrection of the two witnesses comes. What is that the sixth seal trumpet plague brings? What does it bring? Another chance I'll give it to you. What that should follow logically in this story, which how many years that I've been teaching you? What is it that it should bring? Battle, yes, good. War, war. Why do we want an army? To play soccer? Why do we want an army? I've just resurrected you, trained you, of making you understand, and to top it off, first, we're gonna be poking them and make them pissed off, and with these sons of bitches, we torture them, and we don't kill them. Says, no, don't kill them. But then, what comes, and we says, we leave them alone, and says, okay, now we're gonna fight. Now comes war. Now comes war of whom? Of the Lamb and his army, and Babylon and his army. That is the sixth trumpet, and we shall study that next Shabbat. I like, whether you like it to be short or not, here the subject ends. We have studied yet another chapter, and my important mission was to say 2:17 of 1335 have been fulfilled, and they've been fulfilled in such a form that has been brutally incredible, with a direct influence of Noah. In the same day that the fountains of water were broken, the fountains of water were broken. When there is war, where everything could come from, and where also the beast, which Mark says, you know what, we have another plan. Now we're going to have a digital passport. Oh, that's great. When will all happen? On 2:17. Both things makes us laugh. Both things give us hope. Both things we are understand it as the fulfillment of 2:17. And what comes now is what I've just said. What will start to change is all this. And if we get to those years, it is the story that I've given you, the story of the two witnesses. Without any further ado, we shall meet again next Shabbat. Let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because today you have made us understood that we are Abaddon, that we are Apollyon, that we are the Lord, and that we're also the Father of all these people that will give their lives or that are already dead, and they will be resurrected for your glory and for the glory of your bride, to form a part of the army that follows the Mashiach. We give you thanks because you always give us a motive, a reason to not lose faith and even to augment it, because we know that we are in the final time. All this we thank you for in your precious name. the name of our husband, Yahweh Sabaoth, and we are waiting for you to give us very soon the power of Hades, the power and the key to open hell, to open death, and to give life. All this we thank you for it in your precious name. Alleluia. Semper Fi. Long live the Argentum bride of Elohim. Long live Apollyon and Abaddon. Did you know that if we do not understand who we are, it cannot be fulfilled. But now that we understand who we are, what we're here for, what is our message, and what is our mission, it is when things start to get fulfilled and unfold. That's why our mind starts to change, and really Yahweh will give us the power to open death. That blows your mind, because really nobody has ever seen anyone be resurrected in this world. The maximum thing that Yeshua did, a guy that had died for 4 days before, nobody that has been made dust ever. Maximum Lazarus, it was dead 4 days. The rest immediately dead. But no one says, he's been in the grave 100 years ago. Bring him from there. Nobody in the world has ever seen that, because Yahweh has never given the key of the bottomless pit, but he'll give it to Apollyon. He will give it to Abaddon, which is the Father and Lord of everyone. Alleluia to every one of you. Alleluia.